next big project. For all those that know what you're looking at, this is a DCT transmission out of a 2011 135i. Meaning that this has the 7-speed gearbox that is 1-to-1 in the 7th gear, and has the proper bell housing for slant 6 motors, meaning this is going to go into my track car, my E46 M3, and all the parts finally came in for it, as you can see. The only thing I'm missing is the oil cooler and the drive shaft and a custom transmission mount, so all of that will be determined later, but these are pretty much everything I need to get started now, including this gearbox control unit from HTG, which took forever to get, and everything else here, the oil pan and all the seals are just so I know that the transmission has been looked over before I put it into the car. So without further ado, the first thing I need to do is pull off the electronic board because that needs to get rewired. So we're going to start with that. This is what I've been after this whole time. Finally got it out. And behind this plate is a bunch of electronics that needs to be rewired so it can talk to the HTG tuner that I bought, since I don't have the stock car's transmission controller to control the gear selection anymore, so it needs to be rewired so it can talk to the HTC tuner controller. This is probably something I don't want to do here, so I gotta take it somewhere to do it, and I might not be able to get footage of it, so guess you'll see it back when it's done. Alright, Alright, and we are back. I did a little cleanup off camera. There used to be these little wires here that were connected to these pads, and they had this little gooey stuff that's still on here, all drowned in these pads. So I had to clean that all up. I took a Dremel to it and brushed it all out and ripped off all the wires while I was at it. But I had a really hard time getting this board out. It's like thermally bonded or just glued to this aluminum, this entire board. So I guess you're gonna watch me struggle and try to rip this board out, and then we'll move on to wiring in the new board. Alright, the board is all gone. There's a few gashes when I tried to use a wood chisel. Turns out it's a little too sharp for aluminum. And then I had to stick with a regular metal chisel. And got the whole board out. That's kind of what's left of the board. And that's all I can do for now because I don't have any wiring with me. So I guess I'll start wiring in the next clip, because they want us to just, silicone it into here. Figured I have a lathe, I have some engineering skills, I might as well try to make my own custom housing for this guy that will accept the factory or seal, since this is an O-ring. Then the next thing I need to make is this thing. I don't know if I can do it right now. This is a mechanical parking brake, and this will release the parking brake, because this transmission will only release parking brake when there is oil pressure. So when the transmission is off or the car is off, it will automatically go into park, and this is the factory way to override the park switch with a lever that will just pull this up. This way you can roll your car around if something ever happens, but I don't feel like I need this parking feature, so I need to make myself a little arm thingy that will hold this up all the time. I know people make or sell this product, but I'm a maker, so I'm just gonna make my own instead of spending 50 bucks on this and another whatever 200 something bucks on that connector. So let's start by tearing up the front and getting that wire out. someplace where I couldn't film to finish it up. I also machined this parking brake out of some stainless I had, so this pretty much locks it so it doesn't go into park ever again. I also made my own connector housing, and it's double ribbed to take 2 seals. Here is my wiring job. Seems like I did pretty well given that this thing is clicking away. And so here is the data we are looking at live, and it looks pretty good to me. So I think this is good enough for me to seal up this case and start putting everything back together, and that's what I'm gonna do next, I think. I gotta add some weld material right there and then make a template from this transmission to figure out where to drill and tap this other hole. And that should be it before we put it in. Looks like the teeth engages pretty well down there, and the flywheel doesn't stick out more because it's not bolted to the motor yet. So alright, so that takes care of everything on here. Actually, I think I need to drill out the rest of the holes for the motor mount, because these 4 big bolts line up perfectly. These 2 are the starters, but then there's these 3 extra small holes, and 2 of them down here don't have anything. So I think I'm gonna drill those 2 out on the transmission side, and that'll be it for this. Alright, so I was only able to add 1 more hole, that new one over here, because this one over here was on this spine and I didn't want to deal with that. But that wraps it up for the transmission modification, I believe. We did the Mechatronics, did some tests, replaced all the seals that I was comfortable and felt like needed to be replaced, and modified the starter mount. So next thing to do is to get this guy on the lift and start tearing apart the SMG transmission. So stay tuned for that episode.